Hey YouTube, coming at you with a deck profile for Team Underground. This is my Goblin Gadget build for the September 2011 ban list. It's also on my channel, just check the description below. And it's pretty complete. I'm just missing a couple staples in the extra deck, which I'll get to later. But without further ado, here you go. Oh, and for those who don't know, the point of this deck is pretty much to spam rank 4 XYZ monsters. So first off, you have Triple Goblinberg. Goblinberg is amazing because he is a Bogart Knight for pretty much any level 4 or lower monster. When he's normal summon, you can special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your hand, and this card gets changed to defense position. He's really, really good, especially with the gadgets. 2 green, 2 yellow, 2 red. The reason I run only 6 instead of 9 like a lot of people have been doing is because I don't run Ultimate Offering in this deck. I don't like the card, it's inconsistent, and it gets MST'd and heavied all the time. This is fine for now. I like 6. And it's great with Goblinberg because you get that nice little instant plus, and it goes in for 1-for-1 XYZ summons because you get the plus off of the gadget. You have 2 Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is just amazing this format, and it's really nice in this deck because if you want to, you can drop some synchros like Cataster or Trishula. So it sets up for a lot of great plays. I may run 3. Have to work out some stuff, but it would work at 3. You have 2 Thunder King Ryos because this deck is very anti-meta, and it's nice to have this because it's probably the best anti-meta card this format. Stops people from searching out, stops people from using duality, stops a special summon. Really, really nice. 2 Summoner Monk. Summoner Monk is amazing in this deck because he can grab your Thunder King, he can grab a second Summoner Monk, he can grab a gadget if you can't start the gadget train. He sets up for a lot of great plays. Got 1 Gores to stop their very annoying OTKs. And then 2 tech cards are DD Warrior Lady and Kaiku. DD Warrior Lady is just needed field removal. It's great for getting rid of that stuff that you can't get rid of, like a Stardust or anything with more attack than these guys. And Kaiku is amazing against a Chaos matchup because when he's on the field, your opponent can't remove stuff from their grave, so they can't even summon the Chaos monsters. And while you're at it, you can do battle damage and remove 2 from their grave. Another great thing about him, your opponent can't touch your graveyard either. So if they try to DD Crow your Reborn targets, well, they're out of luck if that card's on the field. Very nice. 3 potted dualities. Nice to have consistency with this deck, and you kind of need it if you want to search out things. This deck doesn't rely on a ton of special summoning outside of Goblinberg and Summoner Monk, so it's great to have this to search out your combo pieces, especially if you're looking for one of the gadgets. You have 3 MST just because it's great to be able to move stuff off their field and get rid of their summons. You're not making that many big pushes, but with all the annoying stuff that could happen, like skill drain in Dark World or stuff like Royal Decree in Lightsworn and Twilight, it's great to have this card at 3 for now. You have Double Smashing Ground because it's just needed field removal. Stuff, again, that is bigger than Utopia. Dark Hole, Reborn, and Heavy Storm because they're staples. I don't think I need to explain those too much. And Welcome Book of Moon because in the occasion where you're in that situation where they have the Ryo on the field and you need to start the gadget train, flip this down, summon your gadget, get your plus, attack over. I mean, that's just one of the situations why this card is good. Book of Moon is so flexible that it's pretty much good in almost any situation. Now, my trap lineup's a little different. I decided to go on a path that was more chainable to MST. First up, which is the odd part, is 3 Threatening Roar. Now, the reason this is great because it changed to MST. When your opponent goes to MST your back row thinking that they're getting rid of it so they can start pushing, Threatening Roar. Alright, they went minus, and now your monsters are safe. Sets up really good for Trishula plays because it keeps the monsters on the field for just that one more turn. Another thing that's great about this card is the fact that if you're versing Lightsworn, this card itself can just cause them to mill out, because if they're a reckless Lightsworn player, they push the game too fast, and you do Threatening Roar, they have to mill, and then they have to go another turn, and it keeps going and going until they're pretty much out. Two Solemn Warnings and a Solemn Judgment. At first I thought Solemn Warning was going to be a bad card this format, but I realized that if you play them correctly, they're just as good as they were before. Threatening Roar and other cards that chain to MST are going to be very useful this format, and you can bait out their MSTs and their heavies and then start setting stuff like this to protect. And of course Solemn Judgment is just amazing. Odd part of the trap lineup is this little set right here, Torrential Tribute, Trap Dust Shoot, and Ceasefire. Now, Torrential Tribute and Ceasefire were supposed to be Mind Crushes, but I couldn't find any. So I was looking around for other cards. I picked Torrential just because it's a little less vulnerable than Mirror Force, because you don't have to wait to attack, and it's a good field clear. And Ceasefire, at first, I was thinking, man, it's just a replacement for now, but I may end up just keeping it in. This card is incredible, this format, because one, it's chainable to MST, it stops flip effects, which are going to be pretty prominent in this format, and while you're at it, it does a lot of burn damage. You can burn someone late game with this card and win. It's really, really nice. Of course, Trap Dust Shoot too, just is awesome this format. It can be a game changer, especially when with Mind Crush. And then we have, last but not least, one Starlight Road. I'm going to consider it a staple this format, with JD at 3 and Heavy Storm around. The things you can pull off with this card are quite amazing, so I consider it a staple as is. My extra deck is incomplete, but it's just pretty much going to be a third Utopia, maybe a third Roach, and a couple more staple Synchros. But for now you have 2 Utopia, which will be up to 3, 2 Steel Swarm Roach, which may be up to 3. I'm not even sure if I want to spend the money, and I'm also not even sure if it's worth it. I usually only get 2 Steel Swarm Roaches a game. It's an amazing card, but for the most part, you're going for him more often, because he stops the attacks and will protect the Roach while it's on the field. Like, the ideal field setup for this deck is pretty much like Solemn, a Starlight Road, and maybe a Torrential set with this card, Utopia, and maybe a Ryo out, because it pretty much locks down your opponent. You got 2 Zionmaster. The only reason he's in here is because he's a 2500 beater, and if you want to go for some kind of awkward Reborn play, and you end up XYZing with something like Ryo, you can just go Zionmaster, use his effect, dump a monster to the grave, one of his materials, and then summon the Ryo back. And some staples, you have 1 Bryanak, 1 Cataster, 1 Stardust, and 1 Trishula. Now, things I'll probably add to this, I want to add a Librarian, I want to add a Black Rose, I want to add a 3rd Roach, and a 3rd Utopia. So yeah, that's pretty much the deck. It's incredibly consistent for what it is. I think the only issue is pretty much I'm going to want to replace these 2 with Mind Crush, or maybe I'll just keep in Ceasefire and just go 41 cards, because it doesn't really matter. It's gadgets. You can run 1 extra card if you want. But yeah, that's the trap lineup, and the rest of the deck's pretty solid for me so far. So I'd like to say thanks for watching, YouTube, and thank you for Team Underground for posting this video on their channel. Peace out.